Hello, I am Won Young-jung. I hope to contribute this short digital storytelling to my students and foreign friends' understanding of different ways of thinking in different cultures. Besides, the message in this story will serve as a lesson for my students who will go abroad soon. I will tell 4 personal experiences I had. Those verbal expressions were regarded as my mistakes because I didn't know the differences in speaking styles. Please think about the thought processes that lead to those verbal expressions while you watch this. There could have been a multitude of misunderstandings between my Western friends and me because of the differences, but thankfully, they understood my unintentional mistakes as they were. I came to America in 1997 when I was already reached my 30s, but I was as excited as a little girl. It was my first travel abroad and first time to be immersed in a different culture and people. I came to study fashion, but I was an international student, so I had to take an ESL course in my first semester at Parsons, the design school. I barely remember the instructor and her assignment for writing, but I clearly remember the astonishment I had when I found people could think in very different ways by their cultural differences. I have made countless cultural mistakes, and I continue to learn from my mistakes. On the first day, the ESL instructor gave us an assignment to write a short essay about our dream. I submitted my essay, and it came back with a lot of kind comments on each section asking, why, who are you indicating, it is unclear, and so on. I was shocked because I was expecting comments such as wrong grammar, it's misspelled, or wrong expression, which would note my technical language skills were not perfected, but the comment I received instead indicated that my message was not getting through. It took me some years to understand why she asked about meaning when it seemed clear to me. And I still try to understand the nuances of wording. Initially, I thought my first ESL instructor was an exceptionally precise and accurate person, but after I experienced the same reactions from other instructors, I realized there were some differences in ways of thinking and how this affected language usage. Let's say my friend and I are going shopping, and in a clothing store, we would make a conversation in English like this. Do you like it? Yes, I like it. Well, it is even inexpensive. Well, I will buy it. In Korean though, we would just say, like it? Yes, like. Wow, it's even inexpensive. Buy, which means I will buy it. Once Koreans know what the subjects and objects are in conversation, we often omit them. I would assume my Korean friend knows what I skipped, and she assumes what the subjects and objects are. There must be strengths and weakness in this verbal structure. The problem is I often carry on this habit unconsciously, even when I converse in English. I was chatting with my classmate during a session. I cannot remember exactly what we were talking about, but I said, "Oh, I hate this." My American classmate looked surprised, but I had no clue why. She explained the reason to me. Hate is a too strong verb. People seldom use it. You can't just simply say, "I don't like it." I still remember her voice when she said this. She looked surprised and disturbed, but I must have looked astonished when I heard the explanation. It seems that Koreans use stronger expressions quite often. The emphasis on expression could have a different impact according to the cultural differences. After her advice, I also seldom use the words hate and dislike, and also teach my students to watch their expression when they speak English. It was my first day to work in an American company. I was excited but a bit shy and afraid to make mistakes. That day in the morning, my boss introduced me to the owner of the company who came to my work desk. Then I realized I didn't know how I could address the owner of the company. In Korea, the owner of the company must be called as Mr. President, regardless of the company size. I asked my direct boss how I could address him. She said, "You can call him Mr. and his last name, but later you just can use his first name." Michael? I needed to ask again, really? But I felt hesitant to call him by his first name, Michael, for a while. However, I got used to calling him Michael, and it was getting easier in the following companies. And surprisingly, after I came back to Korea, calling coworkers by their job titles, not by their names, sounded unnatural to me again. Did you realize that people's thought change to adjust to different environments given time? This is the most recent mistake I made to my American friend. We were talking through Skype between Seoul and Virginia, and it was morning in Virginia. She looked more tired than usual days. I forgot she's an American, and I expressed my concern. "Oh, today you look tired, and your eyes are quite swollen. Are you okay?" But later she explained to me that she was surprised to hear how I mentioned her appearance. But she knew Koreans express their thoughts more directly. Frankly, if I do not show concerns about her condition, other Koreans would think I don't care about her. This is a bit different point of view, isn't it? Long ago, I had a conversation with my friend. I was a 20-year-old college student in Korea. My friend asked me what I would have done if I had been born hundreds of years ago. I answered without hesitation. I would disguise as a man to travel along the Silk Road to go to the Western world because I would be dying to know the people and how they lived and what they thought. My dream came true. I met many people and looked at how they lived. Some people like consistency, but I like differences, which make this world more interesting and valuable. Differences can generate misunderstanding and conflicts, which I don't want to cause. I appreciate when my friends indicate my unintentional mistakes so that I can learn what the differences are. By learning the differences, I am getting similar to my Western friends. I am contradictory. I like differences because I can have chances to get similar by learning those. But that's me. Thank you for your time.